Hi, my name is Kyle Brown,
And this is Milan.
and we are going to show our project part 1. To begin with, we will go to our login page, which will just take a moment. While that's loading, I'm going to go ahead and delete the current tables that we have just to show that we do create them from scratch. So to begin with, I will click on our Initialize Database button, which will go ahead and initialize the database. Now that that's complete, I will refresh to show that these have all now been filled with 10 tuples of information that we've decided. And from there, Milan is going to show functionality.
Hi, we have a couple different functionalities. First, I'm going to go over the new user registration. So when you click on this button right here, it will take you to a new user registration page where you have to enter the username. That's Wolverine. Then you enter the password as football. Then first name is Kansas. The last name is Bruce. Then our email is vkansas@spartan.com. Age would be 28 and gender would be male. And when you hit register, it will take you back to the login page in the website, and then in our SQL it will regenerate one more user that we just created. So when you go to the SQL, you refresh, and as we just created this user, that's Wolverine football, it's just created right here. We have a couple more functionality, that is, if a user enters a wrong ID and password and tries to log in, it will take us to the error page that gives you login was invalid. And when you enter a valid ID, that would be the one that we just created. Sorry, it would be Wolverine, and password that we gave was football. And then when you try to log in, it will log in, and then the next page would be implemented. And Kyle will start with explaining the code.
So to begin with, the main servlet here is the control servlet. From the control servlet, when the login page, when initialize is called, right here, the action is initialize. The servlet will then get from the JSP the initialize, and here we call the initialize function, which means that we will go down here and initialize database, which will be explained in a moment. When we do our login, which right here, so this whole form right here is where we are entering the username and password with the submit button. This action will be login. So when we come to the servlet, to the login case, the login function is called. When we come down to the login function, right here is where we take the username and password from the JSP, where you can see we've named one parameter username and one parameter password, and are taking those and storing them into now strings local to the servlet. This is just debugging. So now when we come down here, we do a check to verify the login, and this is a Boolean. And that means when we come over to users DAO, where we have our verify login function, We begin by making successful login equal to false, and we select from users, we grab everything, and while running through our result set, we are checking to see if there is a matching user and password. If we do find that username equals, or the user here is equal to the username that we have passed to this function, and the password is also equal to the password that we've passed to the function, the successful login boolean will become true, and we will break from this while loop. Afterwards, we will return whether or not this successful login was true or false. If check is true, which is the boolean that is returned, we create a session, and when you do request.getSession equals true, you will always generate a new session. In this session, we then set an attribute called username with the variable username that was already gathered, again, from the JSP. This, again, is debugging, and then we essentially send us back to the home page, or send us to the home page, rather, and forward both the request and the response. Else, and again, this is debugging, but we send us to the invalid login JSP. And now at the initialize, the invalid login would be over here. And right now it's simply just telling you that your login wasn't valid. And now to explain the initialize, here is Milan.
So initializing the database, after we click the initialize database, that comes from our login JSP. That's right here. After it is also a set, it is also actually a get method that is run through the servlet. So when you go all the way down to the get servlet, there is initialize database, where when you click the initialize button, that's right here allowed in the submit, it will take you to the initialize db.java, and then over here all the different execute updates with all the statements that says execute update will have the different favorite jokes, favorite joke tags, exists jokes, exists my friends, and exists users would be updated in our SQL. And then these are the different this these are the strings that are parsed in here for all the different tables. So create tables jokes would have these different tuples right here. Then for create table joke tag, we will have different that's implemented right here, and then Kyle would go ahead and explain the rest of the statements in here.
So these are the creation of tables statements. Down below this, where we have the insert statements, where we've created our 10 different tables of information. And so these insert the data specifically into the column names listed at the top, and it inserts values in that order to fill those. So this would populate table users, this would populate table jokes, this would populate my friends, and for the users for currently, just to say the users, make it simple. And this would do joke tags. This will populate the my favorite jokes table, and this will populate the reviews table. And that completes the functionality required for part 1 of the project.